I'm Genevieve Bargello.
And I'm Eileen Worse.
And this is CFB News.
I'm here on site at the Widgeon, the downtown hotel that is hosting the very first Shimmer Wedding Expo. Shimmer is a creation of Kermit Hastings, owner and general manager of the Widgeon, which is a unique combination of slime and glitter. Shimmer was used for the first time a couple months ago and was a great hit, creating beautiful weddings that have been perhaps maybe shown in magazines for Shimmer sold in jars. With this expo, they are excited to show off their new kinds and uses as well as additional uses for slime and weddings. We now go to Genevieve Bargello on site.
Hi, yes, I'm at the other side of the wedding. Over here, you can see one of Kermit Hastings' really innovative inventions called the slip and serve. It's using shimmer, what local slime professionals typically call slime, to slide plates of hors d'oeuvres down it, like a sushi train. As you can see, the hors d'oeuvres are whipping by, and I'm just going to reach my hand out. That's dip. So I do have a hand covered in dip, which are some of the hazards of a slip and serve. But it adds a fun little element of uncertainty to the wedding, which is something that everyone always wants. So if you want a slip and serve of your own, go and have your wedding at the Widgeon today. This has been CFB News. It's a hot day out here on the sandy forest floor of Clatfartburg, or wherever we are. What are we out here doing? Well, we're looking for things. We're searching, and I famously hate looking for things. So it's going to be a rough day for me.
You famously hate... What? Can we unpack that real quick?
I just really don't like looking for things. I get really exhausted by it, and I get bored of doing it about 2 seconds in.
Was Where's Waldo, like, is that pain to you?
I actually did a lot of look and finds weirdly, but it's just real life is not fun for me. It's my truth.
That just threw me for a loop. I don't know.
You didn't expect that from me? I feel like it...
I didn't. I don't think
Wow.
I don't think we've had a reason for it to come up before.
No, there's been no reason.
But I guess we are digging up a lot of things in today's episode.
Not just our emotional backgrounds and personal histories, but the objects and histories of Clatfartburg. It's time for the Archeological Dig.
Digging in the earth of Clatfartburg. What will we find? Well, we'll tell you what we'll find. Because we created 3 artifacts / things we will have found in this location, which is going to be interesting to see how our artifacts match to wherever this dig is happening. Because there were a lot of things I was thinking of, and I was like, but I don't know if that'll make sense based on what happens. So this could be very goofy, but this is now entering Clatfartburg, a podcast that is expanding upon the fictional town of Clatfartburg. We're building out the world, and yes, we've hit archaeological dig. That's going to be a hard one for me to get out of my mouth. So does not roll off the tongue for me. But I'm Elaine.
I'm Felicia.
And we're excited to unearth the nasty, nasty things that have been left over time in this ground.
Yeah.
I guess to start, I want to imagine, can everyone be wearing those little outfits? The little archaeological outfits, even though it makes like no sense
Definitely.
for what
100%.
they're doing.
I do think
Beautiful.
This is for reference. We haven't done one of these in a while, even though this was like the original whole idea of the podcast. I think I just ripped a hole in my pocket. Huh. Well, I'll have to fix that later.
Episode 2 of our bonus episodes of pilot episodes, which you can find on clatfartburg.com.
Yeah.
That relates to one of them.
But we did go back to an old classic format for Clatfartburg where we each bring some things to the table. We haven't done that for like a long time, actually, weirdly.
Yeah.
We just kind of got sidetracked on these beautiful tapestries we were painting that we forgot. Sometimes it's fun to do some work at home and bring it to the table.
Yeah.
So this will be fun. I do think we should talk about where we're digging. I think that's pretty important to establish. Do we want to go like a location that we know? Like, do we want to go like they're on the grounds of XYZ, or do we think this is like a forestry, or is this like a lakeside?
I don't need to be too close to the lake, but I need to be within a range of the lake.
I was thinking close-ish to the lake too. I mean, it doesn't really, mine don't make sense.
So I think mine are okay if they're not like close to like downtown either.
Same,
like,
yeah.
As long as civilization existed there at some point,
right,
I'm set. So if that makes sense for your stuff too,
let's say we'll do it in a clearing near the lake. That's what we're doing.
Perfect. I love that.
We're gonna go with that. Maybe there was some old buildings there that got kind of. Did we talk about there being ruins in the woods of like an old theater? Did I make that up?
I don't know.
Wasn't this on the river tour? They went past like an old
there's
theater
some
or something.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There's ruins
I think you're
in the
right.
woods
Yeah.
that are near the river tour. So it'll be there. Let's do it there.
Oh, I like that.
That's like an amphitheater or something. I think. Yeah. Doesn't make
like that.
Does not relate to anything I wrote down.
Well, no, but it's right by the river, which will work for my stuff too, actually. And water will bring up. I mean, water like pulls shit up all the time, right?
That's what I've been saying.
So good.
So, who do we think is conducting this archaeological dig? Is this like a university doing this? Is this a bunch of amateurs? Is this some people from out of town? I think out of town could be fun because maybe they're confused by what they're finding, whereas...
Yeah, I think I think they're professionals. I think they're out of town.
This is maybe part of a larger project they're doing, like surveying the area to find some more typical archaeological finds.
I think they're having to consult with a lot of like people like Herbert, museum people to get the history. Because again, Clatfartburg has such a... It's not often everyone has a cow war, you know, so there's
I think whatever they're finding or whatever they're looking for, they are probably finding a little bit of it during this dig, but it's not relevant to what we're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yes, correct. Yeah, I think I imagine these are things they just happen to find while they're actually trying to find something else.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm
maybe they're trying to
well.
find. Yeah, maybe they're trying to find like an old room or something, or I don't know,
something they're looking for.
But these are all the things that are like, what?
So I think maybe this would be pretty early and not buried too deep. Maybe they're over in the right corner. That means nothing, but I'm going to say it to give it more set dressing. They're digging not very far, and they find like a little flexible piece of material, and they're like, what's this? This could be interesting. Maybe this is a garment or something like that. Ooh. And they pull it out, and it is a bright red banner that on it says the 1967 Motors and Mallards Festival.
Oh, yes.
So they're like, okay, not what we were looking for, but that's interesting. And I think there's some intern who has to research everything they find, even if they're like, this clearly is not what we're looking for. So this person is starting to look into the Motors and Mallards Festival, and I think the Motors and Mallards Festival was a 1-year automobile show and duck celebration. And Clatfartburg, you know, we have Clatfartburg has a lot of festivals and a lot of events. And I think we need to, put into view that there were a lot that didn't take off. Okay. They had to try a few times to get to the classics. That's like Crispy Fest or the Autumn Leaf Harvest Fest or the Crispy Leaf Harvest Fest. My apologies. I forgot the name of my own creation, our creation. But I think to get to some of those iconic town moments, you need to fail a lot. And I think the Motors and Mallards Festival was somebody got drunk, got really excited about alliteration, and said, well, we enjoy animals. We have ducks here, and I love a good car. So what about the Motors and Mallards Festival? So you have a bunch of old guys driving their cars really slow, and then a lot of like painted signs of ducks and things like that. And they tried to like bring ducks over and lure them over, but all the cars were really loud because they were old. So the ducks would like land down to eat the bread, and then they'd immediately leave again. And it was like a will they won't they for like 2 to 4 hours, Well,
and then they have to stop because all the ducks and the ducklings are crossing the road.
Exactly.
And it
was like really inconvenient.
Did they do like a best duck, like you get a little blue ribbon kind of thing?
Best duck, best drive. Those were the awards.
Ooh, yeah.
So the best duck was hard to score because, again, these were not domestic ducks. These were wild fowl.
People are just catching their ducks. They're like, I found this duck.
How about this one? What do we think about this one?
It's rumored that's where Aflac was inspired. They were at that very show.
Sparked a revolution in the insurance market.
Wow.
But the best drive is not, and people were pissed about this because they thought it was for the coolest car, but it was actually for how good you could do a 3-point turn. So,
and people were like, "This is so not exciting." There's not even corn dogs. Like,
yeah,
what
it
are
was
we
just
doing?
like a DMV test. It was actually, they were using it. This was a secret covert operation to improve their driving test in Clatfartburg because they got a little.
People were driving so poorly.
People were driving really poorly, and everyone was going like 5 miles per hour because everyone was like freaked out because I don't know. I feel like Clatfartburg got into cars late. That's just a vibe I'm getting.
I can sense that. To me, that makes sense. Yeah.
So maybe this was a way of them trying to open the town to car, and
then it kind of...
And lure them in with waterfowl.
Yeah.
And let them leave with a love in their heart for the automobile. So that's...
Now, I would love that as like I could see a leather jacket having...
The
like a red leather jacket,
Motors and Mallards festival.
Yeah, with that on there. Like, I bet
it'd be
they had
pretty
sick
sick
merch. It'd be sick as hell,
I think it very much amplifies, like, it is very much you pulled two words out of a hat and you made an event about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that is Clatfartburg. Is that also me having to come up with my third idea and being a little stuck? Yeah, that happens sometimes. But I think also not every idea in the town canonically is a winner. They can't all be winners. Not every festival can last till 2025.
Arguably, some of the winners are not good. Some of the winners are just like, that's just where they've landed for now. But
Motors and Mallards represents, this is a town that has made a history out of paving its way to something great. And sometimes you have to do a Motors and Mallards festival to get there,
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely
how
like a
sometimes to do
cornerstone
the
of how
podcast that apparently you've always dreamed of, you need to do a Wonka podcast for 2.5 years to get there.
Yeah, you have to suffer a lot, and then
and then you can do what you really wanted to do, even if you didn't know it.
I really like that.
Yeah, I talked myself around on Motors and Mallards as I was saying it,
Yeah, again, like I truly think the alliteration is worth it. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure they lost a lot of money on that. But I think that
we do more for less,
and that's the Clatfartburg
Ain't that the
way.
Truth? We do more.
That treasurer is just like, well,
fuck it.
We're just losing money. We're losing money constantly.
It feels like maybe there's a law in the Clatfartburg books that they have to try a new event a year, like a new festival a year, which honestly would make a lot of sense. Like they're like, we need to be continuously innovating, so therefore you need to try a new festival a year. But they're like, we're getting bloated with all these festivals.
So many. We're
gonna reach a critical mass of festivals, so there's only like 2 days a year where there's no festy.
Baboons and balloons was
that did
not go.
Not a good one.
Yeah. So Motors and Mallards is by far not even close to being the worst. At least it just
there
was
like a run where the one guy in charge was just pulling out objects and animals and was like. And Motors and Mallards was probably the most successful of those.
Yes. And probably the most safe.
Yeah, honestly. Because the birds could just leave,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we even look at like the annual Crispy Fest, the first episode, and a giant paper mache Crispy got torn to shreds by a helicopter, and bits of Crispy and this wind was like blowing people. The children were jealous. Like,
I will say, I do think they're probably finding Crispy bits at this archaeological dig, honestly.
And they're like, what is this?
I'm finding about half a scale. What's that, do you think?
Was there a strange marine animal?
Do you think they have
here?
Herbert Barge on site to be their consultant?
I think they didn't ask, but I think he found them.
I think he was going by on his boat, his river tour, and he saw them and he was like, hold on, wait. God damn, this boat moves too damn fast.
Oh, I gotta cold note that. I need to go back.
When I loop back around, I'll stop for you. And then he got off. There are passengers on the boat. They're waiting because they need to get back,
Yeah.
They're 2 bottles of wine deep on this boat for their book club.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that they figured it was easier to go with the flow with Herbert than to tell him to go away because he wasn't. And Herbert's loud, and they were like, it's just better if we distract him with the thing, because again, we're looking for this other thing. If he can just get distracted with all the other stuff we find, sure, it gives him a project. He gets off our hands. He becomes the consultant, so to speak.
They're looking for like fossils or something. Like they don't even want this.
Yeah. Like it's very They're like, oh, we want troglodytes and stuff. So that tracks, I think.
Yeah. So I think that's my Motors and Mallards festival.
Well, we go to the left corner.
These are evenly dispersed.
And I give you a can of hairspray from 1981.
Wow.
Full of CFCs. That's the ingredient that kills the ozone layer. So this thing is chock full. It's a thick guy, too. We're talking like, probably the size of like forearm to finger. Like thick, big. The scent is strawberry kiwi.
Like one of those cans from Monsters, Inc. that they catch the screams in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's overwhelming. It does still work. The archaeological or whoever was digging learned that the hard way. So their hair is like really like perfectly like sticking out right now. The scent did not really carry over that well. It's like that really fake strawberry scent, like sweet to like it gives you a migraine kind of vibe. This person's fine, they're not getting a migraine, but if you were to have a lot of this, it would be overwhelming. And it's believed to be belong to the famous dancer River Murphy, who's credited as bringing calisthenics to Clatfartburg.
Wow, that's fun.
It's lots of fun, which is fun that this is where the amphitheater was happening, because maybe she did a couple of like big live classes.
And it turned to ruins since the 80s.
It's been ruined since that's fair. Something weird happened in the 90s. Then... Well, maybe that actually
I
this
think
will
some
kind of
experimental theater groups have frequented. You know?
Yes, and since this is kind of like there's some open pasture area by here too. This kind of tracks. So, the site it's famous, like, and probably why one of these cans of hairspray is here. It's infamous for this outdoor class that she held. While they're doing the calisthenics, she's like showing them a fun little leg lift, right? What she did is that this hairspray, it was endorsed by her. So like her face is on it. It's like the river spray, whatever. And it was so that when you worked out, your hair wouldn't move. Like your hair wouldn't get in your face, but also it would just be like so out of the way. However, it required a lot of application. And so unfortunately what happened was during this class, people are sweating a lot. There's a heat exposure, but then this hairspray that smells so bad and isn't moving. It's just like containing all this heat. So 3 people fainted. They're fine, but they fainted. And that didn't go over well because they were taping this one. So after that, she left and the hairspray kind of dissolved after that. Her name was removed from it. She went on to continue to have a successful career, but this was the blight, the blemish within her career.
It's on the controversy section of her Wikipedia.
Yes, exactly. And they've done a really good job burying this story. So it's there's some possible drama. I mean, she's still around, so this could become like a little like clickbait article at some point, and maybe she gets interviewed at some point for this, but yeah, that's my can of hairspray from 1981. It would be awful if you're digging and then you just like cracked into that aerosol can.
Yeah, that would be pretty rough.
Wild.
So is River Murphy still in town, or has she moved on to greener pastures?
I think she moved. I think after that she felt the need to leave, and I think she wasn't ever going to stay for too long. She's she's like the river. You can stand on her, and it's never the same river twice.
Okay, I don't know about that.
But I think she hung around long enough that like people knew her. And again, she was like a D-list celebrity. So people like knew about it. It was like kind of fun that she was there. And people like did keep doing their calisthenics. They just, didn't do it with hairspray. Right. But yeah, I think she left. I don't think she really like left too much of an impression on people. But if you ask some older adults, around town, they'll be like, oh yeah, River Murphy.
It was really fun because like, I think like 8 years ago, Clatfartburg did like community theater. They did a production of Hairspray, and everyone was really excited to see their favorite adaptation of the John Waters film. And then they showed up, and it was an unauthorized musical biography of River Murphy. And they were like, okay, well, that's not what I expected, but thanks.
It would be like incredibly long.
There's a great song called Dance Till You Drop.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and that's like that's the big Act 1 finale.
It's got really annoying techno back music.
It's very much like American Psycho the musical, with love to American Psycho the musical, starring Matt Smith. Weirdly,
whoa, this is a lot to digest.
Yeah, I actually have never fully listened to it.
That's,
I need
to
because I kind of just want to know what that is.
Right? Yeah, I'm very intrigued how that okay. Adding that to my list of things I need to look into now. Sorry, those are things I never would have combined at all together.
I make sure Elaine leaves every episode with a to-do list.
Yes, it's good because I realized watching the Oscars, I was like, I have no idea what's happening. I have no idea what movies are happening. I am so out of the loop. I didn't even know these existed. I didn't know about the controversies. Like I had heard about Amelia Perez, but like nothing. And I just heard about that like 2 weeks ago. So it really wasn't.
I've been informed the whole time, and I've seen none of them because why wouldn't I?
You're off in your niche period land right now, living your best life. You're in rom-com
I'm watching
land.
BBC Sherlock for the first time in 2025. I'm on another realm. I'm on another plane, okay?
And I watched all of Hotel Hell, and I'm going through Kitchen Nightmare. So that's just really
we both have our vices. We both have our demons.
We're having our things right now. Yeah,
exercise.
Things are interesting. But yeah. Anyway, that's my can of hairspray from River Murphy.
Wow. All right. So I think in the center of the place, it's like we're playing tic-tac-toe.
I really
like
was
we're
just
playing
that.
Center middle. Actually, no.
Center middle.
No. Right corner middle. Right side middle.
I got you.
Because that's gonna make me an X.
C3.
No.
C2.
No. Okay, I understand now. Yes, C2.
Everyone make a grid at home.
They're digging into the ground and they're like, oh, these rocks are weirdly shiny. Wait, they're flat. There's so many of them. Why are there 72 pressed pennies from 1974 at the Clatfartburg Transportation Center as an open and commemorative coin?
Oh my God.
Why are there 72 of them? Oh, and then Herbert Barge comes around the corner. He said, oh, well, that'll be because of Jeremy. So basically, in 1974-ish, I actually think the timeline on this is probably off because I think they had like a pressed penny station at the Clatfartburg Transportation Center when station when it originally opened, and it said like 1974 opening, and then they just like never changed out the designs because like
that
stuff
tracks.
happens. So Jeremy was a small child who his parents said, we want you to make a lemonade stand. And he dreamed big. He dreamed bigger. He decided to make, in 1970 something, maybe 80s, 70s to 80s, he made a roadside artisan mocktail stand. Okay. But he was really interested in coin collecting, and his parents always thought pressed pennies were a waste of money. So he demanded that he was only paid in pressed pennies.
Wow.
Because you have to put in more coins to make the pressed penny.
Yeah. So they're a higher value.
They are a higher value.
This makes sense.
So he demanded only payment in pressed pennies. So we have 72 commemorative pressed pennies. I assume he sold more than this. But these were the ones. This was his stockpile.
My question is, did people go see the limited stand? They'd go up, or the mocktail stand. They're like, hey, can I get this like Shirley Temple? And he was like, do you have the pressed penny? And they'd be like, no. And they're like, you have to go all the way to the transportation center and come back.
Yes. But his mocktails were so incredible that people would do it.
It was just totally worth it.
Yeah.
So there's this weird line outside of the pressed penny.
Yeah.
They're like, people are shoving kids aside. They're like, excuse me, I have
business.
There
was actually a temporary bus line implemented between his stand and the pressed penny station at the Clatfartburg Transportation Center. And I think he did this for 3 weeks and went, I'm done. Like, that's what happened. Like, it was a huge deal for the 3 weeks he did it.
Yeah.
But then it just disappeared. And then he was like, actually, I think I have too many pressed pennies now because I don't know what the fuck to do with
I was going to say,
these.
how did they end up in the ground? Did he bury them
I think those
to
were
like save his treasure?
I think that was, yeah.
He pulled a squirrel and forgot where his acorns were or to stop bothering. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, do they go to try to like find Jeremy to return them?
I think so. I think maybe he works in architecture now. Like, I don't think he's really into the pressed penny and coin. And
yeah.
I honestly think he's probably moved to a big city, so he may be out of contact. But, you know, maybe Herbert Barge grabs him up in a Ziploc and dumps him on his aunt's door, like, unceremoniously. He's like, these are for Jeremy. And she's like, he doesn't want these.
He's like, oh no, I spilled all of them. I'm so sorry.
Herbert,
I spilled all of them. I gotta go. My bad.
Herbert, he's 48 now. He doesn't want these.
He doesn't want them at all.
I mean, he's probably older than that. I don't know what the right age for him to be, but I think it doesn't matter. He's 48 now. He does not need these 72 pressed pennies. He already has like 6 of these. He has like a binder of them, and he's always complaining about how he doesn't want to get rid of them, but then his mom will be like, but it was so cute what you did, and I don't think you should keep it as a memory. You never know when they'll go up in value. And he's like, they're not going to go up in value. I got 72 of them stashed on the forest floor.
And then it's also one of those things too where the museum has to accept it, and they're like, oh God, we have to wait until people care about museum stuff for the 70s, but they have to just hold on to it.
Yeah.
And like it's in the storage room. They're like, God, what are we gonna do with all these fucking pennies? Because the
give
aunt's
them
like
out for free at a gala,
right? Like they turn them into a fun little button at their masquerade ball, whatever kind of thing. Like, yeah, like I just imagine how much stuff is in museum storage where they're like we have to keep this preserved history, but like who fucking gives a shit about the commemorative penny? you know.
Like, who cares about the commemorative
Who
penny?
fucking cares?
Take
It's
home
just
a piece
cute
of your
thing.
own Clatfartburg history. They're just trying to offload shit.
Now, the klepto who's working on this dig is 100% pocketing that. The klepto's getting a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I imagine if I was an archaeological digger, I would be so tempted to be like, I want to put this in my pocket right now.
Right.
I'm going to get this little stone and put it in my pocket. I can't be stopped. You know, it's like when you're at a museum and you're like, I am going to touch that. No one look. You know, like that kind of like weird impulse, except this person acts on those impulses. So
Right.
they've got a pocket full of commemorative pennies.
What a scandal.
Should we do the really, really stupid one next?
Yeah, let's do that. We'll have to build on that for a bit, I bet. Or
Okay.
interrogate your choices.
I put like a squiggly line next to this, like, I don't know, but I couldn't think of anything else. So
Yeah.
we're going to go to back left, very back row left corner.
Okay.
They're digging and they go down actually like pretty deep. And this the shovel strikes something and they pull it up and it's weird. It's this like wooden block of some sort and there's all these strings hanging from it and there's some bits tied to it. Some things have disintegrated, but they're able to kind of make out one is a cockroach body.
Okay.
And it turns out that this is the heads of cockroaches and the bodies of cockroaches strung together like wind chimes. And this was the cockroach beware wind chimes that were used during the summer of the cockroach infestation. Okay. So the summer, I'm thinking like mid 1800s, maybe late 1800s.
Okay.
This huge cockroach infestation is hitting Clatfartburg. It is so annoying. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
You're trying to get them out. And they're like nasty. They're gross, right? We fucking hate these things. But they're hard to get rid of, you know? Mm-hmm. They tried everything and it wasn't working. So one person who lived up the hill/mountain ambiguous landmark feature decided, well, let's warn them what will happen to them if they try to get us up here. And so proceeded to go on a like murder spree of these cockroaches, and create these wind chimes. So they had like at least 10 wind chimes of these. And then it like something else
You're
happened.
saying chime, but I can't imagine much noise is being made.
No, well, I guess they rattle.
A wind rustle?
They could yeah, maybe there's other stuff tied to it as well. I was wondering, like, maybe there's, like, rocks interspersed, or, like, what else would be threatening to a cockroach? And it's not much.
A wind clack.
It's a wind clacker. That's actually a good, the Roach clacker. Ew.
Horrible.
And, yeah, it was supposed to ward off cockroaches with fear. It didn't work. However, it did, actually, because this is what happened. Because they were still, it enticed birds because people would place these by their bird feeders. You know, like when you're desperate, you're like, I'll try fucking anything.
Yeah.
So they're hanging these cockroaches, and then this species of bird comes through that is like, oh, this is delicious. Nom, nom, nom. They're eating them up.
Right.
And they're not dying. I don't know if cockroaches have like a weird poisonous property to birds.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So like, let's roll with it.
In this universe, they don't. And I think also in this universe, they don't. You know what I mean?
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it brings birds and the birds help with the cockroach infestation.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so then people for a while had these up and then they did realize a couple years later, like, this is really creepy and we don't need to ward them off anymore. But people, you know, if you're around for that, it's scarring. This was inspired by me 2 days ago brushing my teeth and out of nowhere a cockroach fell from the ceiling and died in my sink. But I couldn't just pick it up because when I tried to like deal with it, it started twitching and moving. So I ended up poisoning it with Lysol, scooping it up into a paper like tube and then putting it in a red Solo cup and then flushing it and hoping it didn't swim back up the pipe. And it was really, I was startled to my core. Because I didn't even know it was in the room. Like, I know, like, roaches start to happen around this season, and I have one under a red Solo cup right now because that's how I deal with them. Because it's hard to move them around, and I'm like, I don't know, I'll trap you there. So I wasn't expecting this big boy who fell and died before me. It's not like it slipped. Like, it just, like, fell to its death on its back. Huge. And I was just like, ugh.
It was telling you what to create. It was saying, here's your creative spark you need, Elaine. I'm going to drop from the fucking ceiling.
This was born from a violent thought I had. So
I mean, I get it, man. I've got a mouse problem right now. My cat caught another one.
Hey, you could start your own
problem.
Clacker.
I don't want to.
That's a different level. That's a different.
It's a lot.
that's a whole different vibe than
Yeah.
bugs. So I'm glad that you're not gonna fall into that. But yeah, and I imagine the archaeologist is like really creeped out by this.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are. I don't even know if Herbert would fully have known about this. I think this would have
Yeah,
probably
I
been
think
an
this is
archive
before
check.
his time. Yeah, this is going to be like a museum or library talk.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's because it's hard to
hey,
search.
Why
like,
did I
what is
find
this?
a bunch of roaches strung together with rocks from like some sticks? Like, what's going on with that?
Is this a ritual? Is this like a religious?
Yeah, and I
item?
think one
Is
of them is like,
this-
"Oh my god, we might have discovered something fucking crazy. This could be huge." Like, I think they're
Yeah.
very excited about this. Like, maybe this is like some religious thing we're not aware of, and then they learn eventually it's like, nah. So it was some weird guys who they thought the way to get rid of the cockroaches was to throw them on wind chimes to let them know, don't come in here. You're not welcome.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
did bring in the birds. And maybe this is how Clatfartburg got its problem of the birds that keep shitting on things.
Kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking
Yeah.
that they got a hunger for these big old cockroaches, and then they kind of expanded, and maybe the digestive system, that the way they work to, maybe there is something with cockroaches that isn't like the most delicious to these birds, but the way they digest it, it creates these voracious and horrifying poops.
And they
so
crave
it's-
those poops.
They crave them so much. It's part of their mating ritual too. It's just really complicated. So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Do you choose the birds that poop, or do you choose a horde of cockroaches?
Right.
Doing that horrible, the call of the cockroach thing they do when they're like I don't know if you've heard about this. It's gross. They scream, and they all like thousands of them are just circling each other as one in the middle scream. It's like I don't even know. I've never looked it up because I can't. But imagine that. That's what's happening in Clatfartburg. I too would fucking put little cockroaches on a string with rock and do anything I can. I'd be like, come birds,
Yeah.
come. There were so many birds they blocked out the sun. They heard and that's how they would free. Like someone's written a horrible poem about this, and
Yeah.
people over time just thought it was like a really stupid metaphor. Yeah, but they didn't understand.
Roaches.
There were actual roaches that were happening. Yeah, I also don't know how like cockroaches decompose or whatever, so I need like a little leg to have stuck onto it or something. I don't know how much they're preserved, but it might have been a journey to also figure out what's going on here, but like with bug stuff.
Maybe it is some fossils, and they're like, "Oh my god, fucking exciting!" And they're like, "Nah, it's this weird roach from 1870.
Like, what the
this
fuck?
is not exciting."
One of them actually twitches and is still alive.
Yeah.
Crawls away, and they're like, "Wait, what?" And one of them just watched The Mummy recently, because that's what archaeologists do right before they go on a big dig. They're like,
I would
"Let's watch
imagine.
The Mummy," and they're like, "Oh no, the Beatles." So yeah, that was my what the fuck am I doing on this podcast moment. But I look forward to seeing what's in the other squares of this archaeological dig.
Yeah. I'm gonna go bottom right, completing my bingo.
Yes.
Tic-tac-toe. So I have completed my tic-tac-toe. And opening, they're digging around, and they don't have to dig very far before they find something plastic and green, and they're like, what the hell is this? And it's a little faded, but they're like, is this... How do I want to introduce this? This is so fucking stupid. Is that a green bean with glasses, a top hat, and a cane? And he's like the size of a forearm, probably. He's got legs and hands. So he can stand.
Yeah. Is he wearing gloves? Does he have like gloved hands?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But he's got that, and the cane is so he can kind of stand on a tabletop too. It kind of gives him a third point. I'm very tickled by this one, obviously. And Clatfartburg and Herbert Barch goes, "Oh my god, Botticini used to have that in his bedroom."
Oh my god.
That's the Greenith Bean alarm clock.
Oh my god. Greenith Bean.
This is kind of inspired by I was hearing about recently. Did you hear about the Garfield phone beach?
No, I didn't.
There was
What
a
is
beach in
this?
France where a bunch of there was a phone that like was Garfield, and you could like pick it up and his eyes would open when you were on the phone. Then he would go back to sleep when you put the phone down. It was very cool in like the 70s or 80s, and I assume the 80s. Basically, a shipping container of them got stuck in a cave on the shores of France, and then for years, Garfield phones have been washing up on this beach.
Oh my god.
So I just kind of wanted to do something akin to that. So I came up with the Greenith Bean plastic alarm clock. And And I do want to have it for the record. So he's standing. I drew a little illustration, and the alarm clock, to make the alarm noise, he shakes back and forth.
Oh god! Oh no! Oh no!
The bean, like,
oh no!
Shakes back and forth. I don't know where the time is displayed. Maybe that's a mystery. Maybe it's just like on
I'm
his
thinking
back.
maybe just down the middle, so like it would be like vertical,
Yeah.
showing the time. Maybe.
Yeah, probably. It's digital. It's not anything else. This is from the 80s. So this was from a fast casual dining restaurant, and this was them trying to compete with like the like marketing pushes of fast food of the time, of the big chains of like McDonald's,
yeah, Hamburglar,
like,
and
and those kinds of things. So they were like, what about Greenith Bean? So Greenith Bean was the mascot of an unnamed restaurant. I don't know the other details, but Greenith Bean is an alarm clock, and he goes, time to wake up.
I just like that him being a green bean. I mean, it makes sense with the restaurant. So would you have to buy it at the restaurant, or is it like after you've eaten here 10 times you get this for free kind of thing? Like, how exclusive was this, you know? Like,
I'm not sure. I think they were giving them away pretty freely.
Oh wow.
Because I don't think Greenith Bean was in high demand, if that makes sense. I think a lot of people were
They might have
burdened by
ordered
their
too many.
Greenith Bean alarm clock. It was not I think
yeah.
it was like maybe a summer reading program, and you got the Greenith Bean alarm clock.
Yeah.
And nobody I just really got excited about the name Greenith Bean.
I really enjoy Greenith.
I'm really
It's
having
so
fun
dumb.
with Greenith Bean.
It's so
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I was cooking a meal with green beans in it for dinner. Sometimes we draw from things. You draw from the cockroach. I draw from the Greenith Bean.
Can he sing a song at one point? Like, you hit a button and he like sings a song? I'd really love that.
And he like moves back and forth as a green bean would. As
Get
you
the
can
number
imagine.
14 combo. I'm Greenith Bean.
Greenith Bean says, happy morning. Have a good day at your school.
Eat your green beans.
But don't eat me. Greenith Bean. It's like really, they did a lot of takes and they just kind of kept the track going, which is a problem because it just kind of goes on for way too long.
Because I was thinking, like, back in the day, like, I have a Ronald McDonald cassette tape, which is a wild thing to get from a fast food place these days. But, like, it had songs that Ronald McDonald was singing.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about a lot of those other toys, too. You press a button, you're like, okay, you can be done talking, and they just keep fucking going.
Yeah, they don't
So
stop.
I see Greenith. Yeah, I agree that Greenith Bean, I like him having that quality of being, like, just slightly too annoying. But one could argue, is an alarm clock not just annoying within itself?
Right.
It gets you out of bed.
Definitely. Greenith
You know.
Bean does get you out of bed. I don't know if this restaurant is still around. What do you think? I'm thinking no.
I think it was a fad
Yeah.
in the 80s whenever this was happening.
It was local. It was local. So it was
local.
Yeah, it was like,
I think they just had a bad chef. I think, like, the idea
Yeah.
was there. They just couldn't get a good enough chef, and maybe people were, like, waiting. It was taking, like, an
my
hour to
thought
get
was
your
this was
food.
like a restaurant that'd been there since like the 40s, and they were like, how do we compete with things in the area? And they just took a weird turn in the 80s, and nobody
Yeah.
really got on with it. Like, I think they used to do some Clatfartburg chowder stuff, and then they were kind of paring down, making things more, it's like, you know, a burger joint, casual stuff. But like,
Yeah.
with a lot of like very like home style insides. I don't know what that means, but like you're getting a burger and you're getting green beans and mashed potatoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it's like
yeah.
they
It's
never-
a menu where mashed potatoes are considered the vegetable.
they never modified their side game
Yeah, and that's really important, you know,
to
with
fit
all of
with
that
their
stuff.
new oeuvre. You know,
What a
they
yeah!
never
I imagine
modified their side game to fit with their new oeuvre. It's just
that was a wild sentence. Wild sentence for Greenith Bean. I like that he has a cane also. Like,
yeah.
is
It
he a
felt-
gentleman?
I mean,
Is he, you know, or is he just a
drawing of
sassy
Greenith
little
Bean.
like thing he needs? You know,
There he is.
he's so goofy. He's so pointy.
Yeah. I think, I mean, for me, it was more of a practicality. I think he might be leaning on the cane a little bit in the design. I think that could be cool. But I don't know. I just felt, how do I give Green Bean a character? And I said mustache, glasses, and a cane.
And it's perfect.
And
imagine-
Greenith is fancy. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the problem is Greenith Bean does not give the energy this restaurant is giving. Because the
No, and they
restaurant is
weren't,
giving,
like-
like, Burger Boy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, if they're like more burger focused, but you're just like pushing a green bean, people are gonna be confused. That sends a different message.
Yeah.
Also, children aren't going, "Wow, a green bean."
I
They're
was,
not like,
but
"Oh,
that was
boy."
me.
That was you, and I think we've established you've lived a very different life.
And I cannot speak for all children. I
So-
can speak for me as a child. Yeah.
You cannot be voted president of children. unfortunately. I can't either. I grew up in a very like weird history house, so you know.
Yeah, we know all about your 1776 shit.
Yeah, we know that. Like, I can't speak for the people either. So,
my favorite song in Mary Poppins was the Bank song. I'm weird, okay? We know this. I grew up weird.
You would love this alarm clock.
I wouldn't have. I'd like him visually, but I wouldn't like the noise. I was like a Disney princess kid. My room was like pink. I had like Tinkerbell stuff. I fell asleep to the Wiggles every night on my Disney princess CD player.
Whoa.
I lived a charmed life.
I feel like you'd like him now on a shelf. Tucked
yes,
away,
I
maybe.
would. I would like him now.
I think he'd really fit
I would
you now.
appreciate him more as an adult. I kind of was like a wild mass of opinions that just kind of swirled around, and then I like solidified at 15. Now I have the same
figuring out
taste
who you are.
since
That
I
makes
was
sense.
15.
That tracks. You know,
I've evolved since then, but you know,
yeah, it all makes sense. It all makes sense. I really like the idea too that maybe they had plans to make an updated one that was a corn, like a corn cob or something.
Cornelius Cobb.
Cornelius Cobb.
Greenith Bean and Cornelius Cobb.
See, that's great. But
and maybe in like the weird like gay store where they sell candles of Blanche Devereaux. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
They have like, you can buy a commemorative sticker of Greenith Bean and Cornelius Cobb kissing.
Yes.
Like just
as
like a fan sticker, like from a local artist.
And it's one of those things where it's niche, so if you know, you know, and it's really fun to have that.
Otherwise, it's like, why is this green bean and this corn on the cob with a monocle making out?
Yeah, it's like one of those things where you're like, I'm going to buy that anyway. I don't know what's going on, but like, sure.
And then someone comes over to your party, and you're like, oh my god, you got the Greenith Bean and Cornelius Cobb making out sticker? That's crazy.
And they're like, who? What? What are you saying?
I feel like I need a name for this restaurant. I think it has nothing to do with Greenith Bean. Absolutely nothing. I think it's like boring as fuck, and that's part of the problem, that it never worked with the rebrand. It's like hometown restaurant with Greenith
like the
Bean.
most basic.
Yeah, I think it's hometown restaurant with Greenith Bean. That's like, okay, that's not helpful.
They have like the art decal of him, and like, they didn't get good photos of their food either.
Hey, maybe they'll make a Greenith Bean reboot Greenith Bean petition. There's some people in town who feel really strongly about Greenith Bean, I believe.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'm feeling strongly about Greenith Bean.
Yeah,
I think I just like saying Greenith Bean.
It's fun.
It feels good.
It's really delightful.
And it's always exciting when you come up with something and you go to do a Google of it and it autocorrects to Gwyneth Paltrow and you're like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh, I'm really on uncharted territory.
Oh, thank God. No one else
Gwyneth.
has ever thought of this. And that's a really thrilling idea. What a horrifying thing to find in a dig.
Yeah.
What a horrifying thing, and then be like, what?
That was the first one I came up with, too. Isn't that weird?
It's always amazing. Like, yeah, when you go through this stuff, you're like, well...
I don't like the flipping of the paper. That's ominous.
We're going to go now to a square that's closest to the riverside.
Not
I guess
getting
like
tic-tac-toe today, are you, Elaine?
Middle up. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But I don't think I deserve to win tic-tac-toe with a cockroach wind chime clacker idea. I don't think that really deserves it.
I'm glad you're self-regulating.
No, for sure. And I'll tell you after this, there was another idea I didn't fully flesh out. There were two ideas I didn't flesh out that can just be stated. So I can say that after this. But these are the serpent rings. Oh, wait. Hold on. Did I not? Hold on. Wait. I need a name.
Do you want me to go on my thing?
Yeah, I thought I wrote down a name. Like, there was a whole name I was like discussing and thinking of in my head. Maybe I just made that up.
What, do you need a person's name or like?
I need a last name. Yeah, person last name.
Okay, I'm going to my thing I normally go to. How do you feel about pantograph?
No.
Okay, I'm going to do like 15 of these, and if I can't find one in there. Malbrook?
That works.
That's an arboreal monkey of West Africa. So,
yeah, that'll work. Malbrook, we can think of it as bad stream, and that'll make sense here in a moment.
Yeah.
These are the serpent rings of Captain Malbrook.
Hell yeah.
Captain Malbrook crewed the Wavebreaker, a 10 by 5 foot dinghy that ruled the Clatfartburg Lake in the early 1720s.
Oh, hell yeah.
She commandeered fish boats and people who were just in their canoes, like paddling about for leisure.
Yeah.
You could clearly, I mean, dinghy, you could kind of see her coming. Her crew was small, but they were tight. And what's interesting about her is she was rumored to own 2 snakes, a black rat snake named Storm and an albino snake named Bone.
Wow.
So she had 2 snakes. Hold on, I have to flip a page dramatically.
Somebody's writing like a fantasy novel based on her life called The Dinghy of Storm and Bone.
There's gonna be like 8 books in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Bone and Storm were always perched on her shoulders. So can you imagine someone menacingly rowing in a dinghy towards you, and you can see them, and you're trying to like paddle away, but they have snakes on them.
Snakes, yeah.
And they're like, "Stop, mighty." I have no idea how she would have talked, but her hideout was like up the river a little bit in a little side canal. And after 2 years, her reign faltered because no one went to the lake anymore, because she basically owned the lake. So basically, I guess in a way, she was kind of just peaceful. She's like, this lake is for myself, because no one wanted to go on the lake because they would get, robbed
by a woman.
And harassed by a woman.
With 2 snakes on her shoulder.
Yeah. And presumably her crew was just someone rowing and her.
Right.
I didn't fully flesh out the crew, but I imagine it was just very much like if Cole Papageno existed in this era, he would be rowing the boat.
Absolutely. Cole Papageno's ancestors before getting onto the classic line.
Poppy Papageno.
Poppy Papageno, which eventually goes to Arson Papageno, who was involved with the Arkansas gang, which eventually leads to Cole Papageno.
Exactly. They have a rich history. She was in constant search of the western passage to the northeastern sea that may have been south. That is just, who knows where the sea is, guys? We don't know where Clatfartburg is.
Don't ask.
They think she got lost at some point, which is hard because there's only so far you can really go in this river, but she kind of just like faded away. But the serpent rings hail to Bone and Storm. There are 3 of them. So one is like Bone, one is Storm, but there was a third one that was a snake bearing flowers.
Secret snake.
A secret snake that she flung out from her bra that had killed people. No, the third snake, covered in flowers. That
feels like when you watch a fantasy movie and you're like, oh, good, a well-written female character, and then they pull a snake out of their bra, and you're like, what are we doing?
It's so, or they like suddenly have to like take off all their clothes for some reason, and you're like, okay, come on. Like we were so close, guys. You were so close. But the snake of flowers is expected to represent her rumored lover, Violet, who worked at a farm upstream.
Hell yeah.
So finding these rings is actually like pretty exciting compared to all the other shit they've found so far.
Yeah, this is like, okay, this is pretty fucking cool. Like, the museum is interested. They were like, we can do this for Pride Month and International Women's Day.
They were like, oh my gosh, check. Talk like a pirate day. We can even get in on that.
We can bring these out all the time.
It's so exciting. And they're really cool rings too. Like very intricate. And I mean, it just adds to this menacing figure. It's almost, she truly was a big fish in a small pond, so to speak.
Wow.
A badass pirate in a small lake.
There's no small pirates, only small lakes.
Oh my God.
Or maybe, wait, should that be reversed? There's no small lakes, only small pirates? That's how it normally goes.
Good.
That makes more sense. We got there.
I followed you. That was beautiful. That was so beautiful. Yeah, but I imagine, so this must be closer to whatever they're trying to find. They were like, oh, we're actually finding cool stuff, I guess. Herbert Hoover, whoa.
It's not the president.
That was wild. I don't know. The president showed up.
President? Is Herbert Hoover a president?
I don't think his first name was Herbert.
It is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Herbert Hoover was there. There was actually another archaeological dig right before the Depression, and Herbert Hoover
another
was like,
commemorative penny.
Another commemorative penny.
Hoover. At the Herbert Hoover Presidential Library.
We locked in presidents who have visited Clatfartburg, Herbert Hoover, and I think, did we say Taft at one point?
I know nothing about Herbert Hoover's legacy.
People didn't like him because he fucked up the economy. Well, they say I don't know how much he did fuck up the economy, but they like Hoover camps or something where basically like homeless people had to hang out because it just sucked. So he wasn't a fan.
I don't think his policy matters.
People were just like, whatever. But yeah, this is probably like, something exciting. So Herbert Barge is like caressing these rings, and he's like, oh my god, they exist. She was real.
I can talk about her on my river tour now. I'm gonna have so many. What was your name? Captain Malbrook themed.
Captain Malbrook
themed tours. We can do a whole Captain Cole. I'm gonna send a voice message to Cole.
Cole, he's calling one of his grandsons. Hey granddaughter, whatever. Is it politically correct if I write a story fictionalizing the lesbian relationship between Violet and Captain Malbrook? Would that be okay for me to do? Maybe
I'm
if you
thinking
read
about
it or
calling
something.
it The Dinghy of Bone and what was the other one?
The Dinghy of Bone and Storm.
The Dinghy of Bone and Storm. You know, like all those fantasy books you read. Grandpa, I don't think those are for you. I don't think they are for me. They just haven't let Herbert into the space yet.
I could fulfill the fantasy genre, so to speak. You know, fantasy pirates. I don't think it's ever been done. That's new.
What about Pirates of the Caribbean? I've never seen it, therefore it's not real.
What is that? What is that? Orlando Bloom, I thought that was a Bed Bath & Body Works scent. What are you saying? What? So that's
Keira
that. And
Knightley, but what does she do daily?
Johnny Depp, why has he in so much debt? He's famous. He's got money. I don't understand. I don't think any of these people are real. What the heck are you saying? No, what I'm writing is also based in history. That's the cool thing about it.
If Bill Nighy, then who is he? I don't know if Bill Nighy's in these movies.
Herbert doesn't know he has a Type 5 ready to go if need be, but it's in his back pocket.
It's all about the Pirates of the Caribbean actors.
And he actually this turns into a bit maybe at some point, but he doesn't realize it. He does this for every movie. He's just going through every movie, just going, oh my god. Okay, so the two ideas that thank God I didn't expand upon was the Tomb of Lizards.
I am only thinking of these jokes now, and it's the only thing my brain is doing.
It's so easy to do, right?
Oh man, those are so fun. I think my friends are going to be haunted by the consequences of that for a while.
Betty White, wouldn't you know just looking at her?
Rupert Graves, well, he should smile more.
Yeah. Okay. Timothy Chalamet, maybe it's Shall I Can. Okay, so one idea was the Tomb of Lizards, which was going to be a group of terrifying lizards that ended up dying after I think they got involved with like a cocaine something. And then they all perished and people put them in this little tomb because they were scared of them. And there was possibly a ritual involved. And I was like, we'll hold. And then the other one was a porcelain doll that when you picked it up, the arm would go up and music started playing because it actually activated a hurdy-gurdy that once you opened the back of the doll, inside was a dog tooth that was a poodle of the mayor many years ago.
You said this was underthought, which is interesting because that was a lot.
It did have like a whole, I just was like, I looked between that and the cockroach clacker and I was like, I think the cockroach clacker is less terrifying than wherever I'm going. Cause we were going to
with the mayor dog tooth. Yeah.
Yeah. Like honestly, like this is just the tipping point. I knew I would go and I was like, I don't have time and I need to release it. So, let's just be thankful for the restraint I was able to show.
I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. I was like, I had to have Felicia over my shoulder, the metaphorical Felicia, to be like, rein it in.
Calm down.
Yeah, because that's the fun thing. When we bring these stuff, we're unsupervised.
Yeah, and that's how you get shit like Greenith Bean and the Cockroach Clacker. I feel like Greenith Bean and the Cockroach Clacker really show like where our two heads are at a lot of the times, you know?
Yeah,
when
honestly.
we morph together, we become something more palatable to the average person. Actually, I think my small child who made artisan mocktails only for pressed coins is weirder than the Greenith Bean, actually. I think that got glossed over how fucked up that was.
It's just so, but it like that one is weirdly realistic. Like I could see someone doing that, which makes it weirder.
Yeah.
It makes it that uncomfy, but it's so charming.
I went with a lot of my first things. I crossed out the idea of like a vinyl record, but then I couldn't think of anything. And I was like, but that would imply a song. And I don't like implying a song if I don't have a song prepared, you know?
That's fair. Yeah.
And I did reject the 1967 Paper Doll and Puppet Showcase, and I went for Motors and Mallards. So
I think that was a good,
not a first thought, best thought. Greenith Bean was first thought, best thought.
Truly. Well, what horrible things we've unearthed.
Truly.
In the history of Clatfartburg. I can't wait for our newscast next episode.
Oh God, yeah.
I can't wait.
That'll be so fun.
I can't wait. I think that the Archeological Dig, they lose funding for a little bit. They'll get it back, but I think they have to leave, and this is the only thing they have to show for it. So someone is going to have to write an academic paper on it, because we had seniors in grad school who, this was like part of their paper. So someone's going to have to write a paper about some of this shit.
I mean, the cockroach clacker and the pirate shit's pretty cool, but it really sucks if you got to sign Greenith Bean.
Yeah, that one, because you're gonna have to get so involved with that. You're gonna have to find old videos of Greenith Bean, and I can see that being.
And it'd be tough when you see your roommate got a thing about the lesbian pirates who ruled over a lake. Like it feels a lot worse to be stuck with Greenith Bean.
It is interesting. Did Greenith Bean purposely get buried also?
I don't know how he got there.
Right? I don't know. And I kind of like that mystery.
By the river. That's my fantasy.
He did a little Moses, floated down the river.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Clatfartburg. If you have any suggestions for future episodes or thoughts, comments, concerns, or little headcanons about the things that you think happen in Clatfartburg, you can send us an email at clatfartburg@gmail.com. And if you want more fun bonus content, you can check out clatfartburg.com, which is our Buy Me a Coffee, where we have a little membership where we post cool bonus content. The thing that we recorded this month was the podcast pilots episode, which is Elaine and I both brought a podcast to the table that we have thought about separately and have wanted to do, but realized would not be actually good as a real podcast because we don't have the time. So we did Pocket Watch, which was a podcast about pockets. That was Elaine's offering, and the things you have in your pockets. So it was kind of like a fun little show and tell. And I brought Smell-O-Vision, which was a perfume commercial review. So that'll be up on our Buy Me a Coffee this week. And if you want to check it out, you can also buy any of our bonus content a la carte. If you just have one thing you're interested in and you want to piece out, that's totally okay. Go for it, man. We don't mind. We're just happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, thank you for visiting, and thank you for digging.
Yeah.
This episode.
I hope you dig what you found today.
And just remember, there's not small pirates. There's small lakes.
Hold on. Give me a second. Hold on. I'm trying to think of another Herbert March actor joke.
Or was it there's not small lakes, there's small pirates?
Yeah, it was that. It was the second one.
There's not small lakes. There's small pirates.
Just give me like 5 seconds and you'll cut this all out. Austin Butler? I thought he was an actor.